What's up, world, and welcome back to another edition of I Mix What I Like here at the Real News Network. I'm Jared Ball in Baltimore. It was reported this week that the iconic hip-hop and business megastar Jay-Z will, through his web streaming service Tidal, be giving $1.5 million to 10 or so Black Lives Matter-related organizations. One of those named was the seminal Hands Up United coalition formed in Ferguson, Missouri, shortly after the killing of Michael Brown in August of 2014. Joining us now to discuss what this may mean is co-founder and director of Hands Up United, Taureen Tory Russell. Welcome to I Mix What I Like in the Real News, Tory.
Sure, thanks for having me.
So before we go any further, are there any misconceptions about this announcement you would like to address from the jump? What does this mean that Jay-Z has made this announcement about the $1.5 million?
I think it means that he's actually supporting and putting his money where his heart and where his raps have always lied, in the communities of Black and brown people, who's doing a little something different. And so even though Black Lives Matter, the organization, did not get money out of the $1.5 million, he was in talks with Sankofa.org and others about what is the specific work, what is the programmatic responses, and what are the services, and some cultural organizing things that people on the ground are actually doing. The people that's not doing hashtags are doing a lot of social media that's really driven by community-oriented solutions, and really connecting with the people. So I'm kind of happy about it.
Well, good. That's good to hear. So tell us a little bit about the work that his money will be helping fund with your organization, Hands Up United Coalition.
Yeah. So Hands Up United started, shortly after the killing of Mike Brown, and a couple months after that, we had to really think, what are we going to do in the community? And so kind of in the tradition of the Black Panther Party, we revamped and brought back the breakfast program. And so we do books and breakfast. We do it over 30 plus cities across the country, also in Sierra Leone. And so that's our first tool. And then we went into the 21st century with our programs and services. That's really a tech program. It's the Roy Clay Senior Tech Institute. And we take young people 13 to 30, teach them how to web design, code, graphic design, all of that in this institution, to really engage young people and put them in the tech jobs and put them in the tech sector, but make them revolutionary tech activists. And so these two programs have led to others, Men and Women's Circle, basic community organizing stuff. We have a food pantry, clothes pantry. We do a lot. I'm currently in Salinas, California, working with homeless people and immigrant workers because we're a Black and brown organization. And so this funding really extends to how we're going to pay organizers across the country and support books and breakfasts and chapters, going across the country and across the world.
That definitely sounds good. But just to also clarify, you have yourself not received $1 million, and you yourself are not in regular contact with Jay-Z, right?
Man. So we're gonna be clear about it. We ain't getting 1.5 million. I think it was like 10 organizations that were named. From what I'm hearing, you may get 100, 150. So it depends on how big the project is and how far-reaching your organization is. And also, I want to tell the people, not only in Ferguson, but across America, I ain't got Jay-Z number. So don't hit me up trying to get Jay-Z number. I ain't talked to the dude either. So I ain't got his info, so I can't slide it to you.
So, one of the things I definitely wanted to ask you all about is trying to best I can to follow the work that you all been doing, and we greatly appreciate that work. As I said in the intro, it's been seminal in helping launch a new movement here, or a new wave of a movement of a protracted struggle. But there's a lot of focus going on right now with the 2016 presidential elections, and I would definitely be interested in hearing what your thoughts are as an individual, and perhaps if there's an organizational approach to those elections, what that is. We'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, I look at the 2016 election on the Democratic side and the Republican side. So you have Trump and everybody who's behind Trump, and then you have, basically Hillary versus Bernie on the Democratic side. And so we as organizers, me as myself and organizers across the country must have a deep political analysis around the 2016 election. It would be irresponsible for any organization, any group to not have some kind of critique, some kind of deep analysis around election and election cycle and electoral colleges period. So what we're working on now is really deeply looking at how we really engage and look for civic engagement. So out of that, we looking for funding around actually Democrat or Republican. Do you really want black and brown votes? So when you see the Fight for 15 saying, come get my vote, that's really what they're saying. And so we really trying to put this, this concept of putting freedom on the ballot for 2016, not only for the presidential, but your mayor and your city alderman and your council member. All these people need to understand that, it's no permanent candidates, just permanent issues. And so it might be a Republican, Democrat, it might be a new person in Ferguson that's running, it might be a new person in Baltimore that's running. But we have to have some kind of deep political analysis around that. And I think poor working class people, white, black, or brown, need to have a political platform going into the 2016 election. And that's some of the stuff that we're working on, not only here, but across the country.
I definitely do want to ask you about the mayoral election here in Baltimore in just a moment. Yeah. But there's also a question of, to what extent will you all, or are you all already engaged with so-called alternative political parties? Is there any engagement with for instance, the Party for Socialism and Liberation or the Green Party? And we would definitely hope to see some engagement, if not now, down the line, with the burgeoning Ujima People's Progress Party here in Maryland, the black worker-led political party that's emerging as well. But do you all have any current or planned relationships with any of those so-called alternatives?
We're building bridges with all of them right now. And I'm being honest, probably as we look at candidates, we're really not concerned with candidates or endorsing candidates in the 2016 election cycle. We're really looking at really platforms and policies, and not neoliberal, reformist policies that you see in the movement, even like Campaign Zero. We're talking about harsh, deep, radical, revolutionary thought around why they're homeless people. Why do you call somebody illegal when their family been here for hundreds of years? What is the analysis around why does the teacher union get disrespected with school choice, but you're not having the same deep political analysis around policing, and we're not having safety choice? And so how can we actually have a platform and policies that really speak to the minds and the hearts of the people? And so a candidate or not being endorsed, I don't see that happening. But we're starting to go across the country right here in Salinas to even start with how do we build those bridges with the elected officials, but more importantly, what do the people want on the street? What do people want on the ground? And are they going to put that kind of freedom on the ballot? If not, people may or may not vote, and this may be the ballot of the bullet moment.
So you mentioned Campaign Zero and Baltimore mayoral campaigns, or mayoral election cycle that's about to start. And obviously, we wanted to ask you about Deray McKesson, your thoughts about his planned run for mayor here of Baltimore. You have some experience working with him or seeing him do his thing in Ferguson, and his rise to fame is certainly coming off the back of your movement there in Ferguson and the broader Black Lives Matter movement. And he is reportedly representing Black Lives Matter as a mayoral candidate, though we know he has broken off to create Campaign Zero. What are your thoughts for the people here in Baltimore who might be looking at this campaign and considering it for their vote at the time for the mayor's election?
I will start with the movement. In Ferguson, you said I've never worked with Deray. I'm really hard pressed to find any local people who have worked with Deray. All the local people that I know work with Deray really either work with the establishment, and so they either work with the 21st century, White House 21st century task force. They either work on the Ferguson Commission. They either work for Teach for America, and we know all those things are establishment based. And so when I hear him going on Colbert saying he organized protests in Ferguson and Baltimore, I can't speak to Baltimore. But I know in Ferguson, I don't know an action or protest that he was in, even a part of. Even when he got locked up on the anniversary of More Monday in Ferguson, he was not a part of that action. He was taking pictures, documenting, doing what he does, and he could not escape of the police. And so the police were surrounded. He tried to escape. He could not. And so he accidentally went to jail. And so I just want to clear some of that organized and protest kind of rhetoric or even conversation that he won't clear up on his own. So people in Ferguson are really like, I don't know. And so that kind of leads towards Campaign Zero and to the people of Baltimore. I can't speak to Baltimore, but I can say as a person that's in Ferguson that organized on August 9th after the killing of Mike Brown and organized 8 people to 250 people to thousands of people in Ferguson, October. You have to ask yourself, as a political candidate running for mayor of your city, and I'm telling you these whole truths, and you'll be hard pressed to find certain people that was organizing at the time in August of 2014 to really say that he was organizing here. What is his integrity looking like? Or even you go beyond that, what is the policy looking like? You're talking about a person who works for Teach for America, that's really circumventing teachers union. And really, he's a fan, he's a proponent for charter schools. And so, he's not typically a fan of public schools. And so, the educational issue comes up. His policy, to be honest, most people in the movement see it as a neoliberal kind of policy. And we know that the policy comes from his ties with Teach for America, and the people he worked with Teach for America are on the 21st Century Task Force. And so a lot of the policy in the movement, we honestly believe have been handpicked and given to him through the White House. And so is the radical people, or the people who marched in the street, the people who have lead poisoning in Baltimore, the people who have failing schools, the people whose unemployment rate is continuously going high, the homeless people, the immigrants that are living in the shadows. What is his political platform around these things? I'm eager to see what his widespread platform is. I hear some very reformist things around police accountability. But in a big city like Baltimore, you're gonna need a big solution. And I'm just waiting to see. I'm really happy that he's taking that to the political sector because of his organizer and somebody that's actually in the movement doing community-based work. That kind of alleviates the questions around what is he doing and is he organized, and it kind of makes my job a little easier that I don't really have to confront the question of Deray McKesson or the talented 10th Negroes that fly across the country who, really, I can't point to a community or a place on the map that I know that they're in the communities really working with the people who's actually working and marching in the streets and actually doing something for change.
Well, Tory Russell, Hands Up United Coalition, we thank you for both encouraging that we develop an analysis of our actions and voting policies, and we appreciate you sharing some of yours here with I Mix What I Like in the Real News Network.
For sure.
And thank you all for joining us as well. And as always, I'm Jared Ball here in Baltimore saying, as Fred Hampton used to say, to you we say peace if you're willing to fight for it. So peace, everybody, and we'll catch you in the whirlwind.